Girls of Reddit, what is the most obvious hint you drop to someone? Oh god, I'll never forget one of my exes. We came from totally different backgrounds, and I was only his second ever girlfriend. We were 19 at the time, while I had more experience. We'd been together a couple of weeks, and it seemed like we were ready to take things to the bedroom. We were in the lounge of the apartment we shared in student halls and started kissing, and it got kinda heavy. It got to the point where I was straddling him and we were grinding, and then he stopped kissing me and motioned for me to stand up. So I thought, okay, we are going to have sex now, but nope. He just stood up, said well, good night, and went to his room, locked the door, and went to sleep. I was just completely dumbfounded. The next morning, I asked him why he'd left me alone when both of us were very clearly wanting sex, and he looked really confused and said, I thought you were just being friendly? Dude, I was literally grinding on your boner. In what universe is that platonic? Plus, we were already a couple by that point, so it's not as though he wasn't sure if I liked him or not. He was just like, well, I don't know the signals. Girls are very confusing. Clueless. I was on the receiving end. Started with her inviting me to her roommate's birthday at their house. So I show up a little bit late, and they make me drink to catch up. Cool, I'm all in. The night goes on and eventually she turns to me and says, wanna meet my plants? Hint 1. Now in my mind I truly thought all she wanted was to actually show me plants, and I was excited. So we get up to her room, and she locks the door behind us. Hint 2. She shows me her plants. All I remember was the succulent named Steve, and she eventually sits on her bed and makes me sit on it with her. Hint 3. She then asks why I still have my shoes on. I just thought I was being rude for having shoes on. Turns out that was hint 4. So we are sitting on her bed, shoeless, and she just turns to me and starts talking about first kiss stories, which I thought was weird. Numero 5. Eventually I understand what's going on when I literally ask, wait, did you want me to kiss you? Yeah, I'm a real super sleuth. So after we kiss for a bit she says, you can stay the night, but you can't wear pants in my bed. Flashing hint sign 6. So drunk me says, oh that's okay, I can just leave, and I did. I just left her house. It did not occur to me once that maybe she wanted to do something. My friends all still laugh at me. I just realized now. I brought a girl home, both drunk AF. She asked me if she can take a shower, I say yes. She asked me if I want to come, I say no, I already took a shower today and my skin is very dry. The shower doesn't work well, so she asked me to explain it to her. If the tube is too crooked, water doesn't flow. I get in the shower with her naked with my hand over my eyes and explain it to her and get out. I had been flirting with this guy who was clearly flirting back for around a month at this time. We went out with some friends and ended up crashing at one of the girls' house. Together, same bed. Spent the night talking. At around 7 AM, after giving each other massages, I told him we should totally F. The guy thought I was joking. I don't think I could be any clearer than that, lol. It took another couple of weeks for him to get the hints. Brought a guy over, present BF. After a month of just hanging out going for walks, ice cream, the move is just as like buds. Didn't want to spook him, but he never picked up on my sensual female ways, like ever. I started out small, told dirty jokes, half kidding, to gauge his reaction. Put on a kinda risky outfit here and edgy and looking for any hint he was checking me out or was even into me. So one night I'm like, F it. Invited him over with a bottle of wine, a few joints, and just strategically scattered condoms in random places around the house. Like, ho ho ho, I'm so sneaky good for you, girl. This is going to get him. And nothing had her. I asked him about it weeks later, and he was shocked. The reason? Big podhead. That's it. Got myself worked up for nothing, lol. Honestly, he was happy to chill, didn't want to scare me away either. My friends and I were having a movie night. There were my two friends who were male and this girl at whose place we were watching the movie. At one point she asked me to help her with snacks during the movie. She grabbed my hand and we went to her room. She turned the lights off. We laid in bed cuddling. I didn't get the hint until I was leaving, and then we kissed. With my boyfriend. On our first date he didn't give me a kiss and left, and I just said, what, no kiss? And he just awkwardly laughed and walked away. I thought I blew it or something. Second date he asked me to his apartment. I asked if I could take my pants off. since they were uncomfortable, and we laid on the bed watching a movie. I had my leg over his body and left leaning in close for a kiss, and he didn't kiss me. He finally kissed me when I was about to leave and was in the middle of talking when he did it. LMAO edit. He and I were talking about it and what was going through our minds during it. He told me that he didn't want to be rude and kiss me on the first date, and that he kind of walked away so quickly was because he was nervous. On the second date, we were actually going to a race, but it was cancelled, and since I was an hour in the city during the night, he invited me to his apartment. I was wearing jeans at the time and I didn't want to lay in his bed with jeans. Told the guy I liked, now my boyfriend, that I was single and was looking for a boyfriend, and he just went, oh have fun. That's always difficult. Then later in the conversation I ended up calling him hot and boyfriend material. Yeah, bad joke I know. And he was like haha thanks. 3 hours afterwards he texted me and was like, wait, were you flirting with me? Now we are dating. And I like to tease him about his constant obliviousness. My now fiancé told me he liked me, and I told him I wanted to get to know him. We went on a date, and at the end of the night we kissed and arranged a second date. I told him later that night that I liked him back. After a few days he messaged me, but do you mean like as a friend, or do we like each other the same way? I'm sorry but you have to spell it out for me. I don't want to get the wrong impression. I'm a guy. I'll give you one from middle school. 7th grade me, talking to a bunch of kids on the last day of school, including a cute 8th grade girl who I had gym with. As I leave, she yells, "Hey, Jargon 832, I don't have your number." To which I reply, "Yay, I don't have yours either. Bye." I'm going to lie and say I instantly regretted it. Well, this happened to me as a guy. She was on my bed and looked at me dead in the eye and said, "People tell me I give great BJ." And I looked at her straight faced and said, "Nice, good for you." She had the most disappointed face I've ever seen a woman have. Guy here. Sophomore year of college, me and this girl had an economics class where every week we had to take those little 10-question quizzes. One day we are walking out together and she goes, "I found all the answers to the quizzes on Quizlet. I'd send them to you, but I don't have your number." And I said, "Oh, they're on Quizlet, huh?" and walked off towards my next class. Edit. We had been flirting a bit for a few weeks before this, and it was definitely a play for my number. I was just a goober and was entirely oblivious. Girl I worked with when I was 18 or 19 ran her finger up and down the button-up shirt seam where the buttons are, said, "I always wanted to ride in a Mustang. I owned a classic one, 1965, and I was like, oh cool. Yeah, that'd be fun. I can give you a lift home after work if you want." And then I did, and she was all, "You want to come up and watch a movie?" And that's when I hit deep clueless nerd and said I would, but I'm meeting some friends to play D&D. Yeah, peak nerd. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Thank you kind strangers for my brief and fleeting internet fame. Edit 2. For those asking, here's one of the old pictures of the car to have survived the 30-ish years since I had it. The car. I met my partner of 9 years when we were at a mutual friend's 20th birthday. I was into him, but he was completely clueless. I could tell he was attracted to me, but he was so awkward and adorably innocent. I would dance with just him, grab his hand to keep up with the group through the busy nightclub, place his hand on my waist or hips. Hours had passed, and he wasn't getting it. Eventually I fully sat on his lap, despite empty seats either side of him. He froze, not sure what to do. The friend whose party it was caught his attention before demonstrating how to handle a woman in your lap. The birthday boy pulled his girlfriend to his lap, encircling her waist in his hands and whispering in her ear with pointed looks at my guy. Awkwardly my partner tried to do the same, but he was so uncertain. Later we all went for drunken late night macas before everyone split up for the night. He tried to drag me into a shadow to kiss me goodnight, but couldn't get his confidence up before his rowdy friends came and dragged us all apart. He was so adorably frustrated. A couple of days later I added him on Facebook because I wanted to know more about him. We started chatting all night every night and eventually got our shit together. It turned out he had never been kissed, so the next time we saw each other in person I made sure to rectify that 9 years later we are no longer close with the mutual friends that got us together, but he's all I could ever need. Literally the best decision Eve. Late to post, but in high school, I was friends with two guys. We'll call them Aaron and Johnny. There had always been a three-way sexual tension between us. I was hosting a small party and we were all drinking and having a good time. Aaron and I sneak off into the other room and start getting frisky. As things are getting really hot and heavy, Aaron calls out for Johnny to come into the room. Johnny comes in and Aaron puts Johnny's hand on my breast. Johnny says, "Wow, congrats, you got her shirt off," and leaves. Aaron and I are confused but shrug it off and get back to business. The next day, I message Johnny and ask, "Hey, why didn't you want a threesome last night?" And Johnny replies, "What? There was a threesome? Guy here. For my 21st I went out drinking till 5 AM with friends. I left a diner at 6 AM with a friend. We decided to walk back to his place to crash and met a woman along the way. She was walking alone and for some reason felt cool with walking with two guys. Turns out she lived 2 blocks away from my buddy. Got her to her door and she asked for my number and said we should hang out. I drunkenly decided I wanted to watch the sunrise. As soon as I got to my buddy's place she called and said her roommate was loud and she couldn't sleep. Asked me to come over and spend some time with her. I told her I was going to watch the sun come up and invited her out. She declined. I called her a week later. She told me I missed out on having a good night. I was stranded in a hotel because my flight was cancelled for weather. I booty called the guy I figured was most likely to show up and conveniently lived nearby. First and only booty call of my life, so maybe I did it wrong, but he was not catching on. He showed up, I had a bucket of beers waiting, and we laughed and talked on the balcony for a while. I finally got my courage up and went inside, pushed the desk chair aside, and sat on the desk. He followed and sat in a chair across the room. I asked him to close the drapes. He walked past me and closed the drapes and went back to the chair. I suggested he take his shoes off. He did, in the chair. I suggested he move closer. He brought the chair. Maybe a bit closer than that. OMG, will you please come here? He finally got it, but damn, it seemed like a lot of work for a guy with a reputation for being a ladies' man. I kind of figured back quote come to my hotel room would have been sufficient. Married to him for 12 years now. Was at a friend's house and his sister came out wearing just a towel from the bathroom. She said to me, "Stop undressing me with your eyes." I replied, "You are only wearing a towel." She did a cheeky wink and walked into her room. I thought to myself, stupid girl thinks she is wearing clothes, haha, and went about my day. My husband, then new mutual friend, would walk me to class, even if it was on the opposite side of our college campus and his class. He didn't care if it made him late. He would always light up to see me. We had a class together, and he would always try to save me a seat next to him in a big lecture hall. I thought he was just a super nice guy. All our friends knew he liked me, but I didn't see it. I'm glad I finally recognized I was worthy of being liked and loved. I came from an abusive home, and he was the first and sadly only person to help with it. His love has been so unconditional after 11 years. It makes me cry thinking about it took me 19 years of my life to be loved by anyone. Thanks for watching, subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video.